everyone, welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and a build finale of our Revell Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. I was told people wanted to see some mud on the tires. I got mud on the tires and a little bit more. So let's get the guys out of the way here and we'll talk about some of the fun things we did trying to get this thing muddied up. As you can see, it's muddy. I made a little base for the tire. We got some mud on the inside. We got the windows dirtied up. We're pretty much mud bogging here. Underneath, you can see I just used aluminum foil and then covered it with the mud. And I dirtied this up in layers. I actually dirtied the suspension, dirtied the frame, dirtied the chassis, put it all together, and then dirtied it one more time. So that if you look around, there's no gaps. And I'll tell you what, this thing weighs about a pound more than it did before I started. What did I use for this? Well, I went outside and I found a whole bunch of mud. It's been so stinking dry in Northeast Ohio that I was able to bring this stuff down, and just by grinding it with my fingers, I turned it into like flour. I put that in a little throwaway bowl. It's buried right now. And I added Mod Podge to it until it was kind of like a thick goo. That's the best I could describe it. It's a little runnier than goo, let's put it that way, but not by much. And then I just took a couple of brushes, these two and this one more than anything else, real soft. And I just started taking it and digging it out and just going all over the place with this thing, just literally just like this. I got it on the window. I took this brush, dampened it, and then went like the windshield wiper would go, did it again, and did that on this side. And you can see I got a pretty good smear marks on there, exactly the way I wanted to do it. All the decals are on here. You may never be able to see them again. You can see the N in Rubicon there, kind of. The fade on the window is still there, but most of it is gone. And I worked dirtying up a little bit in the front, and then more so around the front wheel, and then really hard on the side panels here, and right up on this area where the tires, when they turn, would throw that mud out. And then a little bit lighter and lighter across the back. As the wheels are turning, they're going to sling mud everywhere, so I got it on the inside. We got our dashboard looking real good. I used the UV resin on that, and like I said, I was going to do a video on it, so insert video here. All right, we got our dashboard pretty much all done here. The decals are in, and I want to put the resin on this, not only to seal it in, but to make it look more like it's a glass cover on there. I load up my handy dandy toothpick, and I'm going to lay this on here. And the nice thing is you really don't have to hurry. You move this thing around and make a nice even coat on here. And what I'm trying to do, first off, is keep in the film, but see how it's not up against these corners? We want to drag that over and get it up there like that. See, I got a dip right here. Also, that looked like it was full, but it's not. All the way up here on the edge. And it does show when it's done. And there See, that looks pretty even. So I'm going to set that down on a toothpick because I don't like the way that's tilted. There we go. Let's do 2 toothpicks. And then flatten that out a little bit. And now I'll back you out. We'll bring this in. One, oop. I only need 1. Sit back for a minute and wait. All right, there we go. Let's get this out of the way. Let's see how we look here. Check that out. Tell me that doesn't look good, huh? 30 seconds prep time, 1 minute dry time, and you're ready to rock and roll. All right, let's get back over to the show. And that UV resin, I'm telling you, it is some handy stuff. As we go through here, I'll show you where I use it on the Jeep to save my bacon. And it really did, because I wouldn't have been able to do what I wanted to without it. But right now I want to show you, remember we cut that roof off. That's why all those lights and the battery box fits right up inside there. So sometimes a curbside isn't a bad thing. It just depends on what you want to do with it. You put the hood back on there, and I mean, nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to even think to pick that thing up. They'll think it's dirtied in, glued. So that looks pretty good. Now let's talk about these lights. Well, we'll talk about the suspension first, because I know everybody's seeing this way up in the air. If you look down inside there, there's a solid piece of sprue that goes from the suspension up to the top, and there's a screw that holds that in. And I don't think you'll be able to see it in here now. Shoot. But there's a screw that holds the suspension in. And what I did is I got this side screwed in pretty good, and I came over here and I opened that hole out where that screw goes in, so I was able to push that sprue up through a little bit. And, you know, I pushed it up in there, I got it where it was, and I glue bombed it from the top. It's not moving. And then I came back on this side, and I just snugged that screw up to keep this from moving. And that's all I did to it. It worked out very well. Kind of cheated. The axle, this one's kind of pushed out a little bit. I wanted to keep it towed in like this one is, because when that axle pulled, I was trying to keep them straight, but the way everything glued up, it's tilted just a smidge. But it is what it is. I made my own license plate. It's supposed to say Grandpa Mark's Hobbies Jeep, but it's dirty. Now for the headlights. The 2 main headlights, they were a breeze. They really were. Drilled in through the back, through everything this way on an angle, and I showed you that. And then I put the LED in the hole, angled it, pulled it back tight, and then put just a smidge of resin in there and used the UV resin to glue it in. And I love that, because you're only talking a 1 minute dry time. So you're holding it, you do it, you're done. It's really nice. I'm liking that UV resin. The taillights, I showed you, I drilled those holes out to get the taillights into the back. I was hoping they'd shine through a little bit on the side, but they're kind of weak, and they don't. But they look good in the back, and then a little mud on there, and I think they look great. But now these turn signals and the 2 lower running lights, I got to the point where the lower running lights, I just drilled holes in the back. They were no problem, except for there wasn't enough room for the lens to go in place with the LED. You weren't going to get it in there. The mounting points are way too big on the lens, so it would have just interfered, and drilling them out and everything, it just, no. So what I did is I put the LED in there, straight in, and bent it over, pulled it back like I did on the main lens, put a little tiny bit of resin in there and glued it in place. Did the same to this one, glued it in place, and now I got a hole in there where the light lens would have gone. And this is after. The first thing I did is I painted those silver. So this is after I painted them silver and everything. Then I came back with both of them glued in tight, and I held them up with my helping hand and got them to where they were straight up and down this way. And I put UV resin on top of that until it filled that up like a light lens, and hit it with the light. 60 seconds later, I had a light lens in there with a glued in LED. It's not going anywhere. And then it came to these, and now the mounting pins were too small to drill in like I did in the back ones. And there wasn't enough room to drill another hole, put it in there, and have the LED look right. So I did the same thing as I did down here, just into these squares, and then I came back and painted around them where it looked good. And in order to make it to where these weren't super bright, like I've done before where they overpower the headlights, I didn't paint silver behind them. I just left the green. I put the UV in there, I hardened it, and then I did a total for the lens, hardened that, and then I just came back with clear orange and I painted over the top of them. And they show up really nice, and they're not super duper bright. So those went great. Everything on here fit together well if you do like Bruce said from Bruce's Eclectic World. The directions say to put this on with the chassis and everything. Don't put that off to the side. Just leave it alone. Get everything ready. Now remember, I had 2 LEDs in here sticking in this way. So I had to come way back with the body over the chassis and over the frame. I had to come way back here, up at a big angle, get it up to where the 2 LEDs were underneath these pieces, tilt it forward, bring it forward to where the 2 mounting pieces are under here are all the way in place. Then I was able to drive those 2 screws down to hold the body onto the frame. And, you know, from the underneath side, there's 2 screws, one here and one here, that I filled with mud so you couldn't really see them. But once I did that, we were golden. Everything was tight. Everything worked good. And it all held together well. So it really isn't that hard. The hardest part was drilling these stinking little holes, because if you make a mistake, you're going to blow out the side. And even if you do, it's not bad. You still can get the LED in there. It was just way more convenient to be able to hit that dead center all the way up, put the LED in, hit it with quick shine to lock it in place, and then push it in here, and I was pretty much done. I also tried to get clear on the bottom underneath here, but it's not showing because of the way the LED is in there. I thought it'd be cool when the lights were out to highlight that license plate in the back. But like I said, everything pretty much went together. Once I had the body on, then I came back and I put the railing on, and then I dropped this black piece in here with the mirror. And if you do it that way, you're going to save yourself a lot of fuss, because you'll be able to tilt everything around. This will be out of the way, and it goes right back in there the way it should anyhow. So there is everything there. Not a whole lot of extra stuff I did to this except for the mud. And like I said, the mud came on here. It looks really good. Before anybody asks, the little pieces of grass I got on Amazon a couple of years ago when I was doing a diorama, a desert scene diorama. And I just had them laying around. The dirt is just crumbled up aluminum foil, set down, put the car on top of it and pushed it down so I'm nice and all fours and I don't have any teeter-totter on there. And then I mudded that up, and I brought that mud up around that tire to glue it onto the tire so it's not going anywhere. And man, that's about it. It was a simple, easy build. It was fun to mud up. I'm definitely Jim Pelosi sent me that other Bronco, and he wants mud on the tires on that. Well, Jim, you're gonna get it, because now I really have a feeling that of how everything works doing the mud, and it's a lot easier than I thought, because it's mud. It's, you're gonna splash it around, and it's gonna go where it wants to. So with this, we're gonna have a music montage at the end, but I want to thank Gallery for all their help. Their paints are amazing. They work so well, and they clean out of their airbrushes really easy. So I haven't had any problems at all with their paint. There wasn't a learning curve or anything with it. If you do decide to get some paint, use Grandpa Mark in your coupon code, and you'll get 10% off of everything you order there. I want to thank our active duty members, our veterans, and our first responders. Without them, we can't be doing what we're doing. So I salute each and every one of you, and thank you for putting it on the line every single day. I want to remind everybody that October 11th, which is coming up here pretty stinking quick, is going to be our 24-hour group build for breast cancer. Myself, Jason, and Bruce are all going to be on each one of our channels at the same time, and we're going to build for 24 hours straight. But if you guys can donate up to $2,000 or to up at $2,000 by midnight that first night, Zach's going to come and he's going to shave my head. So all this is going to be gone. So start dropping those donations in, and then let's get up to at least $2,000 for this, and Zach's going to have some fun. But with that, let's start the music and enjoy the pictures. Thank you very much for watching. Y'all have a great day and a better tomorrow. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and a finale of our Revell Jeep Wrangler. Blah, blah. Hi, everybody. Ah, jeez. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and on it. When I first did the mud on the bottom, I just took the Mod Podge and dirt and kind of molded it all up and put it in, and when I took a look at it, it looked like a big pile of dog. So dang. I got with all the mud on the glass, all I did was I took my paintbrush and I kind of just went the way the windshield wiper would go, and that's not the way the windshield wipers go. All I did is I took a